I'm going to tell you why we did something like this, what the project is about, what technology we use, how it works finally with the demo. In the past sessions, we have not really been able to do a long demos, but in this conference, we wanted to show you, at least a couple of working systems, because last time those who were present here, they requested us more information. I want to see how it works, and it's going to be really interesting. Now, we've worked with both the public sector and the private sector. One repeated thing that we found is that the good thing is there's an increase in the number of software that's being implemented for case management. People can do an application, you do the processing in the backend, and they get the certificate or they get a permit, or it's similar action. And in the enterprise, there are similar workflows, be it for leads, be it for industry-specific case where someone needs to request a document and get a processing and get an approval, a rejection, and then comes from. The problem that we've seen is typical projects in the government, they take like 5 to 8 months. And every time, because the way it is, it's quite difficult to reuse code. But we actually know as developers that the way we develop this case management is a lot similar. We're still working on forms. Everything is still based on forms because it's one of the most efficient ways to collect information, structured way from a citizen or from an end customer. Of course, we could also call them, voice them. But the moment that it's on a form, it's something that even the applicant can verify. I've put it on a form, I have signed it. This is what I applied, and it's all the way. It's just the format of the form that changes. Sometimes there are a few fields more. Sometimes there are tables, and a lot of times there are documents to attach. A receipt here, a certificate there, a plan here, a report there. Now we've seen that, there is an EDD licensing platform, but after 3 years, only 10 processors there. That's really low. There's loads of potential. And the limitation there is that it works only on a way. It's similar, but it's a different set of solution. Let's say you want to launch a promo for end of year, and you want people to, and you can just launch a promo, an advert on the private market, and okay, I'm going to get potential customers, I'm going to reach my customers again. But how if you are in the marketing side, you will know that's difficult to get people's contact, to get them in the flow. And once you do that, how does it integrate with the process? Let's say you want to offer someone some discount, and you have 100 people contacting you, asking you for the voucher. How do you track for that? You need to do something like maybe Google form or a custom form, and then get the process in Excel or feed it into your CRM, and I need a new workflow. So you're going to get back to your supplier, and you're going to tell the supplier, okay, I need this done modified in my CRM, or I need this done in a software, and is that person going to tell you, no, it's going to take a week, it's going to take a month, and you say, no, I don't have time, it's end of year, I have to launch we're already in October, I can wait December to launch my advert, I can wait December to launch my promotion, it's past COVID, I need to run my sales as soon as possible. So there's this delay in actually triggering something that also makes this use case very useful, because with this one, your IT would be able to simply write down the process that you want and then get it created. So the target for MoServices is to really bring down the time to launch a new case solution in the public sector to 1 to 2 months. Of course, how we're going to do it in the contractual terms remains to be discussed. It's going to be a mobile enabled for the citizen. So a single mobile app for all the services that can be run on this. Because if every time you launch a new mobile app, you need the users buy-in to download the app and use it. We've launched at least 3 mobile apps for the public sector in Mauritius. We know how it is. Every time each mobile app needs to be marketed for people to use it. So luckily we have 2 mobile apps that are really, you can say, national level. We have the MoPass, which is really the identity management, so the citizen can log in there. We have Mo Rendezvous, where people can book for events, can book appointments for different sections, and that's open. Anyone, any public sector can use that. And a single one is also easy for the user. They don't have to download an app separately. For the enterprise, that will allow the enterprise to create new workflows, new case managements far more easily and get it up within days, given the speed that it's possible to move. And the head of IT has more control over this than with a traditional case management solution, which is usually heavily dependent on the vendor, on the supplier. So they can quickly modify if something changes in the form. They don't need to get back to the supplier. They can just add a form, remove a form. Of course, there are some complexities also, but we're going to be here to help with that. Now, this project was funded by the Fast Track under the First Track Innovation Scheme by the Mauritius Research Council. So it's we spent more time that was funded for. We need to say this and we thank them for this opportunity. So let's go with the features. So there's going to be a single mobile app, like I said. It's possible to integrate, of course, subject to approvals. You can create different forms. You, as the organization, will be able to create different forms, different levels of approval. The usage of the system waiting for the enterprise or government is going to actually be the head of IT, or in the case of government, it could be the project managers. They're going to define the requirements and then to put the system, maybe the officers are going to write it down. The good thing is that it really allows quick to go quickly. Then, nVisionIT, once the person would submit this text into the application, it's going to generate, the forms and the objects that are. But still, we'll still be here to test the form and to validate whether it's working properly. And we provide the IT infrastructure for this to run. And then the clients or the citizens, they download use the mobile app. The moment a new process has been created, they will find it in the list if they are eligible for it. And they will use that mobile app to access different organizations. In the case of the private sector, we can deploy the solutions exclusively for you if you want your own app, your own brand for it, and it's going to be a similar thing. So an example is that if you want to create this is one example where you would write all of these in not in 4 different texts. You would write it in a whole paragraph in a plain text, and you're going to feed that, and the end result is going to be the mobile app. Of course, you're not going to feed that into your mobile phone, but you're going to feed that into MoServices. This is an example: person with a name, etc. Is approved by officer and has the following fields approved, and then it goes for approval to the board, the approval amount, and certificate is issued if there is no issue about it. When this gets fed into the system, the actual process is here. So you define the requirements. The AI is going to, the NLP is actually going to take the text which you wrote here, and it's going to convert the text into a form with actual controls, etc. And then, of course, the next process is actually to optimize the form, to test, and to see whether the validations are properly set will be detected. Because like I said, we're talking of NLP, of machine learning. It's not 100% accurate, but it's nearly 100% accurate. There's still some human intervention to be done. And then you would launch the form, like you would launch for a normal project, and you would get a different access, a web-based backend to actually see all the forms that the users have applied, like you would for a traditional system, and you would approve like you would for a normal system, and the citizen would get the approval, would see it on the phone itself, and be able to download the certificate or whatever permit that's to be generated. Of course, since we are developing the code, it's flexible. If you need, let's say you want QR code-based permit like our latest vaccination code, we can do that. If you want a PDF certificate, that can also do that. If you want to integrate with a custom system, we could also do that. Now the technologies used, we usually use Microsoft technologies. So I'll hand over to Kirti now for the technical part.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Kirti Moikwa, the Technical Director at nVisionIT. So I'll be talking about the technologies and platforms involved in the development of MoServices, and I'm going to show a demo as well about the progress and where we have reached. Web portal will be used by tenants, or we can say client. For example, we can have the MRA, NTA, or even passport office. So then we are using Python and a library called Spacey named Entity Recognizer. So what we are using Python is to build a little bit of our own custom machine learning tool. As you can see, we are also using Azure Text Analytics. So that's a paid version available from Azure. But it does have some limitations such that the machine learning tool doesn't recognize words like NIC or DOB. So that's why we have to develop our own one in Python. Then we are using the Azure SQL database. We are also using Twilio SMS service to send OTP, so one-time passwords, to users who are registering on the mobile application. And lastly, our mobile app itself is being developed on Ionic framework. Okay, so how it works is like we need to train the model first, and then we need to use that same model to predict words. Okay, so why we are using an existing model, that is the Azure Text Analytics, because extracting keywords like, for example, person's name or job roles, these are quite complex. So that's why we are using existing model. So these are the words which are recognized by Azure Text Analytics. For example, if I write, I want the form to be reviewed by Kirti Moikwa, so Azure will, the Text Analytics will identify that Kirti Moikwa is the person, and my person type will be approval. So this ML.NET is the one which we have been building. So we are, like I said, we are building our own custom machine learning tool. So for that, we are using the Visual Studio IDE. And like I said, it caters for entities not recognized by the Microsoft Azure Text Analytics. Okay. So how this works exactly? So let's say here, the organization, that is one of the tenants, or let's say a passport office. So they enter a text, like for example, I want a form where users will enter name, surname, gender, and date of birth. So then they submit that form to our application. That is a web portal. Now, officers at the nVisionIT office will process that text. The data extraction process will kick in. How this is done is using the Microsoft Text Analytics plus our own custom ML tool. So our tool, what we need to do to that first is we need to create a data set. Then we are going to use that data set to train a model. And then finally, we are going to use that custom model. These are a few screenshots for our mobile application. I'm going to run a video and then show you in more details how it looks like. Okay. Just do the demo now. So this is the login page which will be used by DNets, like I mentioned, let's say passport office. So after logging in, just to add on here, it's a multi-tenant application. So different clients can register with us. We will provide them subscription. They can use their credentials to log in on the application. So currently it's a dummy dashboard, but later on we will develop it to show more realistic KPIs and statistics. Okay, so this is a list of DNets which we have. Currently we have added test one like passport office. Each tenant will have these options, like they can create organization units, for example, departments. Each tenant is going to have their own roles, user management modules. They can add different languages, auditings, and they can customize the application as per their choice and their needs. Now, this is the data builder which I was talking about, the custom one which we have developed. So it's like here we need to enter a text, let's say NIC. So NIC is not recognized by Azure. So that's why we need to train. We'll start the annotation, and we will say that NIC it's like a single line string. We can have different type of categories like radio buttons, combo box, multi-lines, etc. Okay, then we save that. Now we go to forms. Here you will see an example where a tenant, which is passport office, has created a form. So the text which was entered by passport office was that form with surname, forename, maiden name, NIC number, title, gender, date of birth, age, last birthday. And then Mr. Singh will review the form and send to the approver, Mr. Arab, for approval. So as you can see in this text, there are many categories in here. There's name, job role, fields on the form itself. Okay, so now keywords from this text will be extracted. So we click on process. So the first table here shows all the outputs which have been written by the Azure Text Analytics. And then the second table shows all the fields which need to be displayed on forms. That is, users of the system will enter their surname, forenames, maiden name, and IC number. And then you will notice that gender and date of birth have already been identified as a radio button and date. So this is because of how we have trained that model. And then you will notice also that we have provided the option to correct. So let's say for gender, instead it had input like a checkbox. So you can correct and then set it to radio button. Now these fields, which you can see, will actually be displayed on a mobile application dynamically, which users, that is the public, are going to use and to fill in the data. the registration process is complete and the user is logged in automatically. Here, users will get a list of all the sites, or I would say clients or TNets. Currently, we have only passport office, but later on we can have more. Okay, when the user clicks on passport office, okay, this is a menu actually, what features are available on the mobile app. So when the user clicks on passport office, they will get a list of the forms. Like initially I've shown you a form with gender, name, and surname, etc. So these are the forms. So these fields that you can see here is the one which have been extracted by our machine learning and AI tool. So it has detected surname, forename, NIC, gender. Of course, this is still in progress, but as and when we develop and continue the development, it's going to be more enhanced, and the UI and we are going to work on that. But just to tell you that this is being generated dynamically, no manual intervention is required. So any tenant can just come, enter a text, I want a form with these fields, and these will be displayed automatically on the screen where users can input their data. Okay, and also we are working on the workflow part where we have the text that Mr. Aaron is approver or form needs to be reviewed by someone. So this process also we are working on where as soon as a form has been submitted by a user or a citizen, then the workflow process is going to kick in. Officers from the respective TNet is going to log in with the system, they can verify the forms, and then the process is done. Okay, so this is the basic forward process. Okay, so I guess that's it about the MoServices application.